Hey, this is Colin from Blackjack Apprenticeship, and today's podcast interview is with ByrnenDownTheHouse. He was willing to fly out to Vegas during our last Blackjack boot camp, and this was the first time I met him, but he shares his story as a full-time card counter, how he got into it, and some stories, both entertaining and illuminating, with myself and with guest co-host Joe748. If you don't know the Jotorious Joe748, he is a full-time AP and over $1 million card counter himself. And so we got to talk to ByrnenDownTheHouse and hear some stories from him. We'll get right into it. I hope you enjoy the interview. Hey guys, this is Colin, and I am here with ByrnenDownTheHouse and Joe748. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Glad to be here. And sweaty, hot Vegas,
very
baby.
hot.
Yeah, 106 outside.
It's nice and cool in this beautiful house, though. Good job, Colin. Good
Yeah, so we're in Vegas for boot camp, and ByrnenDownTheHouse decided to fly out here to do this podcast. So thanks so much for doing it.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Well,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's get into your story. Tell us how you got interested in card counting.
Well, it was an interest in blackjack first, actually. I had a pretty wealthy friend just bring me along to the casino, and he would just give me $500 and be like, "Here, just copy what I do." He knew pretty good basic strategy, but I mean, every now and then he'd double like a 6 against like a bus card, you know, and stuff like that. And he would always buy in with like $5,000 and just go berserk. And so one night I won $3,500, I think, in a very short amount of time. And I was like, oh, that was so easy. I went back the very next day and I lost $1,500. And I was like, oh, man. At least I stopped. I still had some profit. But that kind of put the hook in me for blackjack. And I'd say for about a year after that, I just kind of played. That's how I learned a basic strategy. But, I had a losing game. I probably lost over a year, probably about like $6,000 or $7,000. And then I was just, sick of losing, and I knew that there was a way to beat it. I think I'd heard, everyone knows, it's always the joke. They're like, oh, counting cards, so like, it's like, let me look into this. Of course, the first thing I looked up was Casino 888. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Casinos.com.
Yeah, they had a free like little book that I actually read. And then I read that, and then I got like a bet spread from that. And then later on, I ended up finding you and your video, and I mean all of your videos, and I just digested all that, then got the membership and went a little deeper into it, And actually, when I first started playing, I think we had a few phone calls.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And my first 2 weeks of counting, I'd taken like 24,000 from one of the Seminole casinos down there. And I talked to you, and you're like, well, it sounds like you're over betting. And I started with a bankroll of $3,000.
Yeah.
And I actually lost that $3,000. And I went to an ATM and pulled out I'm like, this is $200. If it doesn't work, I'm done. I'm not card counting anymore. I sat down at a table, and in one shoe, I took $7,000, and then just from there, took off. And I talked to you on the phone, and you were like, you have to be over betting. And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I have this, I forgot exactly what the spread was. I think I was playing on one spot, and I was just going like up to 300. And I was like, but when the count goes real high, I just like throw money out there. And you were like, wait, so you're just putting money on? And then later in a podcast, this is when I've already been like, a career AP.
You mean
you were like
later, like on a phone call?
No, in your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You were like,
oh, no.
You were like, hey, like one guy just told me, like when it's a high count, he just throws a bunch of money out there. Like, don't do that. I was like, thanks, Colin.
That was you.
Thank you. That's me.
Well, if you're going to win, do it.
Yeah. So the lesson here is deplete your bankroll to zero, go to the ATM, withdraw 200, and you're on your way.
No, you're at that point, you're due, so just take out 50. Just take out 50.
To go back to what you said, I was just curious. What was the bet spread that 888 Casino suggested for you?
Man, I cannot remember, man. It was like, I don't know. I had it saved for a while.
Was it something that, did it seem like kind of small, or was it?
I think it was a 1 to 12.
Okay.
And I was
one spot, 1 to 12.
One spot, 1 to 12. And I was using green chips. So
with a
I know.
$3,000 bankroll.
I know. And the funny thing is that I wasn't someone who was like super well studied into AP before I did it. I just kind of jumped into it. It's kind of just, I guess, how I do everything. But I jumped into it, and I just thought there was like a certain count, like a magic count, like let's say 7 or above, and you don't lose.
Can't lose. Yeah.
You just don't. Did you think that too?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank God. Oh my God, I didn't
yeah.
feel alone. I felt like such an idiot. But now, just like 3 sessions ago, I was winning everything, and then every time max bets went out, like a 5 or a 6, lost like clockwork.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think of those early days.
I'm not sure what your risk of ruin was, but
It was astronomical.
I'm guessing it's like over 90%.
It had to.
Which, the other way to think about it is for every you, there's 9 or more guys that tapped out, and that was it, which is a bummer. But I think to me, it's just like people don't understand. There's so many hobbies you can get into where you can kind of wade your feet in and figure it out as you go. But this one, unless you've got the bankroll for it, hobby is over, job is over.
Yeah, and I absolutely, it's shocking to me now, like knowing what I know with the amount of hours I've put in, that happened like that. It's crazy.
So where did things go from there? I know we talked on the phone. I remember and being like, oh man, this it's. I was happy that you were up at 24,000 or whatever. I just remember being like, if he doesn't correct this, I know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But you did, was it getting serious about the betting software or what happened?
Yeah. So I did end up using the betting software, and I ended up incorporating more expanded deviations. And I would say, well, the thing is with that year, I was still playing full time as a musician as well. So I only got in like 500 hours that year. That was 2019. And so that was the high point though. That 24,000 was the high point. The rest of the year I slowly lost. Yeah. And I think I ended the year up 14 grand.
Okay.
After 500 hours. So it was like AV of like $28, $30, something like that.
So when that was going on, did your family have questions about this venture? How did that whole thing play into it?
I don't think I quite, told my family at that point, because I wasn't looking at it as a career yet, and I was still playing a bunch of gigs. And but my wife was happy that I learned how to beat it. And she was very supportive and understanding, and she got it, and she's still the one sometimes. I mean, I've, put in, I think, career-wise, a little over 2,000, like 2.5 years. And she's definitely the one reminding me, because even though I would consider doing this like long enough to kind of get my bearings with it, I'm still not good at handling swings. Like I'm just not. Like it's brutal, and I get emotional, pissed off, and then I get really excited. But that emotion helped me as a songwriter and an artist. And it doesn't really transfer to this very well, but she's always the one that kind of reminds me the math's working its way out. You've swung down this much before, you know what I mean? So she's totally my support system. You asked about family, like my wife totally gets it. My mom, I was just on the phone with her today, telling her I was out in Vegas and blah, blah, blah. She's like, I wish you would just stop doing that. I don't know why you have to do this. Like, it's just, she stopped saying quit while you're ahead, at least at this point.
Yeah. My mom, up until last year, would always answer the phone and go, did you lose all your money yet? just always worried, But now she finally accepted it.
I guess. Our moms are the same in that way.
What's interesting when I hear that is like it's not like you started with all this money. It'd be one thing if you had this inheritance, and she's like, "Oh, did you blow your inheritance gambling?" But
It's true.
Did you lose all this money that you didn't have before?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
parents worry.
Yeah, it's funny though. You saying that makes me think of I say this to people, and it's the truth. If I did not have a chart, and looking back, I would think I'm not up.
Yeah,
and I'm up significantly. But
more than 24,000 now.
Way more. Yeah, but
we've talked about that. Joe and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
That I would guess if someone were, if I didn't have charts, I would guess that I won, 200,000 and it's 6, Joe
like a fourth of what I won.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's a little bit of an exaggeration to say I don't think I'm up at all, but I swear it feels like that sometimes.
Yeah. So I want to go back to you're over betting. You'd started with kind of whatever ebook or something, and then you got a membership. But during that 500 hours of kind of slowly losing a little bit back, what was your training like? How did you know that you were, or was your training just playing at the tables to a point that
I actually used your software. Uh-huh. Yeah, I did on BJA, and
could you like test out virtually?
Yeah. Okay. I did the virtual test outs. Also the deck estimation app that you have, and then the full on using deviations, and you can't select the expanded deviations, can you?
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I remembered doing that, but I didn't. So, but I did do the basic strategy and the main deviations. Yeah.
Okay, and then you did at one point have someone evaluate your game.
Yeah.
What was that during that 500-hour streak, or?
No. Oh wait. The original 500-hour streak during my year. No. This was later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get in. So that first year, up 14,000, played only 500 hours that year, and where things go from there.
So then 2020 happened. And we had a baby on the first, so
Congrats.
That was the best day of
Wow.
The best day of 2020 was the first day. And then everything just kind of started falling apart because we had the Airbnb rental thing going on where we live, and that just all canceled, and all this stuff started happening, and I actually ended up in the midst of all that thinking about how casinos are opening back up and you have to wear a mask.
This was around January or June rather.
Yeah, and I know I was database. I hadn't seen solid evidence, but I go into places and they call me by my name, and I'd never been there, and I was like, oh man. So after that. After the whole Airbnb thing fell apart, I was just like, man, we can wear masks in the casinos. When they started opening up, there's less seats at the table. It just seemed so ripe for the picking. And I convinced my wife for us to take a good chunk of our savings and do it, in a high limit way.
Yeah.
So
there's a pandemic. We have a baby. Let's travel.
Yeah. So before we hit the road, I went to, I think, my first trip in Vegas, the very first one where I took a bigger bankroll. I ended up way above EV, and in 50 hours won $50,000. Mm-hmm. And then I got back, and I was just like, hey, you know what? There's nothing going on here. All of our friends are afraid to hang out. Everyone's quarantined. Let's just hit the road. Let's just get in a car with the baby, and the dog, and hit the road. And my wife's the best. I don't know why she agreed to that.
So did you have a camper van type thing, or were you just doing hotels in between? How did you get into hotels if a lot of them are sort of closed, or?
No, we were out of the car, and we did live a lot in hotels, and they weren't closed. They were just highly understaffed and underbooked, and we were staying in like 4 or 5 star hotels for like $60 sometimes.
Wow.
It was, I mean, I tell my friends, if you weren't traveling during 2020, you missed out. Like It was like crazy. Like right now in Vegas, I'm like, oh man, I'm not used to these prices, because I came to Vegas 5 times last year. And like every time was on a comp, and I'm not even supposed to be at those casinos, and they were just like, come again. I went 5 times. But anyways, so yeah, we were out of the car, and staying in hotels. Man, what did we do? We did like 36 states over, I think, like 4.5, 5 months, and during this whole time was infamously on the forum as me ranting like a psychopath and just bitching and complaining the whole time. I was on a 475 and a half, not to be downplayed, that half hour means a lot, hour break-even losing streak, and it pretty much lasted the entire trip.
That's rough.
And and we're spending, I was spending like $4,000 extra a month on like hotels and travel expenses on top of our living expenses. Yeah. So that, that ate up a lot of my AV by the end of last year. And, if that's like, even if you think your bankroll can handle it, I mean, holy crap, expenses add up.
And it's not like you're not spreading enough. I mean, I think you're pretty much a min to max player like us, from what I've seen and heard.
From
like
what?
You're basically like min to max player.
Well, depending on what the casino is. I've never gone above 2 spots of 1,000. That's not true. I've got a few times when I've gone to 2 spots of 1,500, I was absolutely destroyed.
Right. But you're not like starting off at like 2 spots of 100, or even like you're.
I don't start at 2 spots of 100, but I will just go to a black chip table every now and then, and I will spread. But if I can.
Yeah.
And the table isn't packed, I'll sit down at a 25 and go 25 to like, 2 spots of 700 or 1,000.
And were you winning before this streak started?
Yeah, pretty much. I fluctuated between, I swung down 30 grand, swung up 30 grand, and did it again. Down 30 grand, up 30 grand over like 475 and a half hours.
But before that, had you had some profits, or was it just
from the Vegas trip?
Okay.
So yeah.
So year one, you win like 14K. Then you win 50K. Like, hey, let's just do this, and then spend the next 475 and a half hours before you made additional profits.
Yeah, exactly. But then after that trip, it was just like. It was insane. It was just like exploded up like my chart. I mean, I think I posted that. Yeah, that's on the forum.
Yeah, you can't predict when the wins or losses are going to happen, and it sounds like, man, they've come in fits.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I wish for me I wish it was a little less bipolar, but I think everyone probably feels the same way.
Yeah, I actually. This is why I stopped. I used to sometimes hop on the Blackjack subreddit on Reddit just to answer a couple things, and then it's like people saying I'm making up my entire career. But the point is, one time someone was saying like, "Oh, what kind of swings can you expect?" And there's the graph in my book of it's like 5 pros' careers, including mine, and I posted that, and it's like, and a guy's like, "I don't believe you, Colin." I was like, "Well, here's my graph." He's like, "There's no way your variance has been so little. That's not possible." And I hadn't really thought about it. Like, I've had 2 streaks of over 200 hours without winning, but they haven't been like extreme losses,
Right. Yeah. Even that 30 grand swung back up, and it was like, even those swings, I felt,
So I don't know what's more. And whatever, the guy thought I was just making up my entire career, but it got me to think, oh wow, some people maybe that they don't last so long, but it's like a huge downswing. I've been on teams where we've lost like $150,000 swing in like a month or whatever.
Betting what, like 2 spots of what?
Yeah, not a lot, like maybe 3 spots of 500, something like that. This was like an early team, where it was a significant, chunk of our big. Of course, the church team.
Big downswing for that. Wow.
Yeah. The church team had bigger downswings, but that was because a lot of people play in a lot. But I guess my point is, I don't know what's worse, like extreme sharp down and back up, or where you're just grinding and getting nowhere for,
Yep, I'm on almost 200 hours right now.
Yeah. But it's funny. This is like what we were just talking about. It feels like we don't win.
Yeah.
What we mostly talked about
Right.
is all these streaks of not winning.
Yeah.
We do kind of gloss over.
Well, I actually have a pretty interesting little sentence that I came up with when this was at the point last year where I finally went on like a huge upswing after all the losing. Basically, let's see, I'll summarize it. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, 86,000, 61% of my total earnings have been made in the last 62 and a half hours of playtime, which is 7% of total hours played, 840 hours. Wow. So I made 61% of my total earnings in 7% of the hours played at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, and that's kind of...
It's a true testament to how this is a long-term thing.
Yeah.
But even so, it's like long-term in blackjack doesn't compare to long-term in the stock market. Like, it's not even close. Like
it's true. The difference is, like, you can ignore the stock market if you have self-control. You can't ignore the emotions of every hand of blackjack you play.
In your face, and you feel like you're like controlling it too. So it's extra torturous when you're doing everything right. And then,
And we talk about going to war and whatever, but it kind of implies like I'm going to try extra hard. But there's not whether you're willing yourself to win isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Like in my younger years, I was very into meditation and working on, intention and things like that. And I got out of that and hadn't really thought about it much, with you get busy as an adult. You start grinding, whatever you're grinding at, and that kind of goes out the window. Blackjack brought me back to that because it's so funny. It's such a like left brain, activity where you're just performing it, and it's mathematical. It's very certain, but it's led me back to practices like meditation and mindfulness. Because when you're just getting your butt kicked at the table, like over and over, the dealer has a 6. You've got 2 spots of max bets. You got 2 20s. You're like, they're going to pull 21. I know they're going to pull 21. They flip the 10. You're like, I'm good. You're like, and then your mind goes, 5.
Yeah.
And then they drop the 5 and you're like, oh my God, did I manifest this? What is going on? This is the 10th time that's happened in this session. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I had to really work backwards and focus on the chatter.
Yeah.
And just say, whether you think you're manifesting this or whatever it is, it's not helping. Yeah. Just clear your mind, play to the count, play your game, and just take it, as it comes. So it's kind of interesting. It led me back to, more practices like that when it's such a scientific, mathematical, matter of fact practice.
I was just sharing at the boot camp yesterday about, someone asked any pro tips for, being healthy on the road, all that stuff. And it reminded me of Burning the Tables in Las Vegas, and how the last third of his book is about his sleep, shower, walking, nutrition schedule.
It's important.
And I remember reading that at 22 and being like, what is this guy's deal? And then, you live that road life and you're like, oh, wow. The things that make me be emotionally and mentally healthy are important if you want to play at those higher stakes for any significant period of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of like schedule, so how did it work with your wife and your baby when you're on the road? What did a typical day look like? Like, what time did you guys wake up? When did you, like, were they just in the car the whole time when you were playing? Like, how did you?
So they were usually in a hotel, and you know, they had a pool. The baby loves the pool.
So you'd book
And
like
we would-
the room for the whole day and just expect I'm just going to be here regardless if I get backed off of everything.
And that was another like stress factor. I'm like, I don't know how long this, especially at a place in the middle of nowhere that's like one casino. But like I couldn't pick and choose. I had to take whatever because we're out there on the road. But yeah, sometimes you book the hotel and come right back. Baby, we gotta go.
Did those constraints ever tempt you to maybe not play as aggressive or be like, oh no, I'm in the middle of nowhere. We just checked into this room. I'm gonna get to the casino. Like maybe I shouldn't spread like, max or. Was there any kind
No, actually, I actually on the way over on the flight listened to the last podcast with Stan the Caddy, and I'm 100% with them that. You're just shooting yourself in the foot, I think, because it doesn't matter. If they're sharp enough to know you're counting, you're just leaving EV out there because they're gonna get you no matter what. So you may as well just hit them as hard as you can. That's what I think. If a place isn't going to, there's a good chance they're not going to, even if you're spreading to what you would have spread. I'm a maximizer for sure.
So when you're on the road, How was what hours wise? What did it seem like? Was it sort of just like 4 or 5 places? I'll get maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and then every once in a while I'll get a few days here and there, or was it like I'm getting like 4 or 5 hours at each place on average? Or?
Man, I will sit there. I've had like 3 like 28-hour sessions. I mean, yeah,
Whoa! How do you know if you're still playing well?
I just check, double, triple check the table sometimes, and I'm like, no, that's right. That's definitely right.
Yeah,
and,
I remember Dusty. He pulled from the church team. He pulled a 25-hour session once. The most I did was 14, and I didn't feel like I could, think straight.
Yeah, I don't feel like I can think straight, but sometimes it helps.
At least when you're tired.
Sometimes I just don't care anymore about the chatter in my head, and I'm just like boom, 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 boom. Just like I feel crazy because after those sessions, I leave the session, and like someone's like walk past him and they're like hello, and I'm like hello, 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 hello.
You're
just
repeating
you have the count in your head, like everything becomes like this repeat. But man, it's so all over the place. Honestly, I don't quite know. Can
you give the audience the name and locations of those hours, the places you got the 28 hours?
Yeah, sure. Okay, here, this and that. Just kidding. They're probably places that already all database me and know who I was anyways.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how often do you play rated? That's always a big question.
I never play rated. I can't. Last time I was told to play rated, actually by a BJA member that knew this market. He was like, oh, go to this casino and like they don't subscribe. Just go ahead, get a card made. And I drove like out of the way to go to this place. I got a card made at this one casino. 5 minutes.
Oh.
You're done. Go to the next casino. You can't play here. And they trespassed me. They trespassed me from like that chain of casinos there. And so there was only one left and all their table games were closed at that time. And I was like,
that's a low.
I don't ever play rated.
So what do you do when you're about to hit a CTR? Like, do you just leave at 9,900 and come back the next day, or like when you're betting big, what happens when you hit 10,000?
So this just happened on my last trip, and if I'm getting destroyed and the count's just super high, I'll give them my ID. I'll just do it, and especially if there's like 3 or 4 rounds left, and I know it's gonna stay in the max bet range, I just show them it, and I know the back off is coming, maybe even a trespass, but like I know it's coming, and I just really want to, 7 or above, like I just really want to get those out there, and a lot of the times I do end up recouping, some of it, and then of course always You're not allowed to play here.
At least then you could just go to the cage and not stress about chips because they already have your name.
Exactly. Yeah. I go there and, they're like, oh, can we? I'm like, nope, you already got it from me. Just cash me out. Like, I'm sick of this.
That was something yesterday I wanted to say at the boot camp because we did the pro panel and they were asking questions about, like, what do we do with our chips? Should we just go to the cage and cash them out? And all the pros suggested, like, just leave, leave if you can. I was like you, where I was on the road all the time. So, 95% of my sessions, I went to the cage and cashed out all my chips because I didn't want to have to deal with chip inventory and then coming back
exactly
3 weeks later and then they hassle you like, well, you don't have record of you playing here. Like, I didn't want to deal with any of that stuff. So 95% of the time, I cashed out my chips and it wasn't
Just
a problem.
dealt with it.
Exactly. In like a bunch of small ways, or I've actually done it. You can't get around it if you're cashing out over 10 grand. It's just a legality. But if it's under, even like 95, I've straight up just gone up and just said, I'd like to cash out, blah, blah, blah. They told me I can't play blackjack anymore, and I just want to leave. And I'm not showing you my ID because then they want to database me and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll just be super honest, and it works so well.
Wow.
Like, I'm surprised how well that works sometimes. But
I want to go back. You were saying, let's say there's there's 3 or 4 rounds left, and you've got your big bets out there, and it's like you say, well, I'll just show my ID. You could even kind of quantify it, and you're saying a true 7, 3%. What's your top bet? 2 by 1,000.
Yeah. That's the highest I'll go.
Yeah. So that's like every round is worth $60. You know, well, I'll show my ID to make a couple $100 in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Of EV. You know, like, I think, you just got to quantify those decisions and say, like, do I really want to throw away a couple $100 to not show ID right here? I'm probably gonna get backed off anyway.
And most likely, they probably already know who you are anyway. So.
But and look, you're 100% correct, Colin, in bringing it back to EV. But for me, in the moment, sometimes AV overpowers long run EV in the way that, let's say I'm down $8,000 and I brought 40 with me, and I'm on this trip that I already paid expenses for 5 days. I'm like, you know what? At that point, the AV is more important to me. Like, I need to recoup some, or at least a really good shot at recouping, because that $100 I might get a double down. I might get split some tens. It could bring back $8,000 in like 3 or 4 rounds, with 2 spots of that much. So, in that time, I think it's more important to just have my full bankroll and not be like, oh, now I have to leave here with almost a quarter of my bankroll gone. So, but the EV and AV thing are things that are kind of a pain in the butt.
We can just win.
EV, why can't we just win like EV?
Yeah,
it's like, come on, cards.
So you were talking about. I remember on the forum you made this post where you said, I'm going to try to play, what was it? It was a certain number of hours.
Oh, good thing to bring up. Yeah, so this was a few months back, like 3 months back. I was like, okay, because we were going to go to Mexico. Well, we did end up going to Mexico. So I was like, I just want to get in 2 months. I try to get at least 100 hours a month in. I was like, I want to get in it 2 months and 1 month because I'm going to Mexico and I know there's like games there and stuff, but I was like, I'm not going to play.
So it was what, 50 hours a week?
So it was 200 hours, so 50 hours a week. So I think the first week, I could open the phone and actually say exactly, but I think it was almost 100 hours in the week.
You got 100 hours in.
I think I could tell you exactly. Okay. Might have been 80, but anyways. So before I did all this, I flew down to Florida and had like a thing down there, non-AP related, and someone got COVID, and someone in the film crew had COVID, and so at the end of that week, I start feeling sick, like actually at a casino.
Yeah.
Eesh. there were a bunch of old people, so I was really paranoid. I was like, I got to get out of here. I leave, I get tested, I have COVID, and it kicked my ass. I was in bed for like 10 days.
Wow.
And I mean, when it hit me, I had like a really high fever. I mean, it was like the worst flu ever. Luckily, I didn't have the
respiratory
the
issues.
real like issue, the respiratory issues. But then anyways, after that, started to get better. After like 12 days, wasn't testing anymore. So I think it was about 12. Went back out, ended up getting another 100 hours in.
Wow.
So, but yeah, in that month, I was surprised I could do it. Even with, so really, what are we looking at here? We're looking at 18 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it was intense. It was intense.
Yeah, so that's basically 18 10-hour days.
Yeah.
with a COVID break.
Yeah.
Right in the middle.
Yeah. And it's funny. I met up with Marco Polo from the forum. Actually, we've become good friends. We met in Vegas once, and he's a great dude. We've actually started doing trips together just to split expenses. Might start teaming up, but we were there in the last hours, the last portion of those hours. I was like, we both took a lunch break, and I was like, dude, I'm 1 hour away from 200 hours, and I was like, but I just made an all-time new high by $2,800. And I was like, what do I do? And he was like, I don't know, man. You could, just stop if you want. And I was like, no. I made the decision to do 200 hours. I'm not focusing on AV. I'm focusing on time.
Yeah.
And he was like, awesome, dude. Let's do it. And so we went back, and I lost exactly 2,800 in that hour. I lost exactly 2,800, and I was like, oh, screw you, time.
Think of that EV you generated that hour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think about EV I've generated a lot because it's way higher. So I think about it often. It's very nice.
Yeah. Where are you overall, like EV, AV?
2 standard deviations below.
Below your...
Yeah.
So with a couple thousand out, you probably have been, were at least at some point, overestimating your EV.
I think about this because I think at the beginning I definitely was. Because this is the thing that I think messed me up, is I would actually, in the pro betting software, unclick -3 and below.
Oh, yeah.
And just be like, I'll sit out during that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the times I'd be at no mid shoe by myself.
Yeah.
So I would play through those. So I think it probably definitely boosted my NO and lowered my EV. I would say if I were to say it was a significant enough overestimation of EV, I'm probably within 1 standard deviation.
Yeah.
How often are you playing heads up, would you say?
As often as I can. Yeah, so I'm not sure on the actual breakdown, but yeah, as often as I can.
And what's your tipping policy?
Tipping
How
policy?
do you deal with that whole awkwardness?
I tip sometimes. I do.
Do you track all that?
No.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, and I probably should, but I don't tip often. Mm-hmm. But my tipping sometimes could be like a dealer that knows I'm a counter, and I know that's probably his angle to get tips, but I just appreciate them, and they'll give me like tips on the market or like what the pit boss thinks or things like that. I'll tip them just because I appreciate that.
Do you separate your expenses from your like EV/AV graph?
I don't. I just know what my expenses are, and I mean it's pretty obvious too with my bankroll because I keep keep most of it.
I just have to ask, what, if you don't mind me asking, what is like a typical tip amount? Because that could make a big difference in like.
I mean, I'll throw like a red chip or a green chip.
Yeah. See, we're not talking like black chip or like it's still pretty small relative to how much you're betting.
I've tossed a black chip twice. I have. And I know you're not supposed to do this, and it's not like very calculative, but it was after I won like 21,000, or like in like that one time I did that in like 45 minutes. I was just like, and I'd been playing there on this trip like repeatedly and got so much time and didn't tip at all. So I was like, dude, I can afford one blackjack.
Yeah. I just wonder what your EV/AV graph would look like with the expenses removed. Maybe it would look,
I'm probably right at
probably would look a lot different, because the first thing I hear is 2 standard deviations, like, oh man, that's a bummer, like,
Sure.
But it was the same with the church team. Like, we underperformed quite a bit, but I think it actually makes sense when you think through it. Like, we let people stay on the clock when they were cashing out, or all sorts of things. I think if the math is the math,
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, it just makes me curious. But I think since if you have those things separated, it probably would look quite a bit different.
And also, and like, you're also not just saying like, oh yeah, every time I win like 20 grand, I'm just tipping them like black chips. It's like, I can see that you're calculating over time, like, oh, I played here 10 times already, 10 hours each.
I'm not just Mr. Moneybags tossing
that
out.
$100 divided through all those dealers is maybe like less than a $5 chip, but you're doing those calculations. Like, other people might be tempted to just like, give that $100 without even thinking about it, and then they're doing it way more often than they think they are.
Right, I mean, for that trip, EV, 50 hours. I mean, EV was probably like 30 grand or above. I mean, a black chip is.
So you said you twice tossed a black chip.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a good rule of thumb. Every 1,000 hours, you can you could toss a black chip there. Right?
One lucky dealer.
Yeah. I'll be honest. It felt really good to do it too.
Yeah.
Was this a place that
you go.
They kept their own?
What's that?
Did they keep their own tips at this particular place, or
not the one I'm talking about now, but the other one they did. Yeah.
Cool. Any stories you want to share with us?
Got a few. Actually, one when we were talking about just cashing out at the cage and doing this, doing that. So my wife obviously would help me on the road cash chips out, and I was playing at a place in the Northwest that I'm sure you guys know of. It's a big one with a really juicy game that's super sweaty. And and I had been playing there for 5 days straight and took like a significant amount, and it was in all black chips. and I cashed out some of them, and then I'd been surrounded by security like 3 times, and I was like, that's it, the jig is up, I gotta go. And I was like, I went to the cage, they were like complete jerks. I was like, all right, I think I texted you actually last year when this happened. And so I went out to my wife and I was like, just cash these out if you can, she was like, all right, it's a lot of chips. I think it was like, I think it was like a little under 20 grand or something, like in black chips.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, what should I do? I was like, just go up, give it to him. Don't let him take them, because it was a tribal casino. And she went there. They were like, these aren't your chips. Like, whose chips are these? She's like, they are mine. I told her, you don't ever admit that they're not yours, And then she was like, yeah, they're mine, blah, blah, blah. They took them. They acted like they were going to confiscate them. And my wife, I call my wife on the phone, and she's like yelling at them. And I'm like, whoa, must be bad, because my wife is not like a yeller. and anyways, they trespass her. Give her the chips. They trespassed my wife. And I was like, what? So the next.
Did they cash her out?
No.
They just gave her the chips back?
They were going to keep them. And she was like, you cannot, blah, blah, blah. And she was,
cow.
And they're like, these aren't yours. And they trespassed her. And so now the story begins. Oh. So now I take the chips the next day, and I just have them like in a plastic bag shoved into my pants. So I'm like walking like a muffin, man. And like I go in, and I go into the bathroom just to pull out like an amount to cash out. I'm just gonna park in this casino for 7 hours if I have to, and just unload them in like increments, because they had a bunch of different cages. And I just bought a brand new truck, and I kept the keys in my belt at that point. and I open up my pants and I'm in the stall in the bathroom, and I go for the chips. The key, which is the only key and the only fob for the car, falls into the toilet and it auto flushes. Whoosh, gone in like a split second. I was like, no, oh man. So like I have to get people involved.
People are in the bathroom and they just hear you. You're like, no.
Yeah, they hear me yell. I get this guy. He comes. They get the technician to come down. He takes the toilet off the thing and everything. He's in the stall. The pit boss, while I'm in the bathroom, from the day who called security on me before, walks into the bathroom and use the bathroom. I jump into the stall with the guy with the toilet off, close the door, and he's looking at me like I'm gonna hit him over the head or something. It was just so, and this was in the middle of that crazy losing streak. So I was we're cursed. My keys got flushed. They didn't find the keys. So it cost like $460. I flushed $460 down the toilet. Man. But anyways, I got them all cashed out. But that was just like, it seemed like stuff like that was happening during that losing streak. That was just like first time, super bad luck, totaled my car during that losing streak. A month after it was paid off.
Oh, man.
I mean, yeah, that's why I got the new truck. I mean, there was like so many things that happened in that losing streak. But,
2021 should be great now.
Oh, man, it's already so much better. And it hasn't been that great, but it's so much better.
I wonder, those same things happen when you're on a winning streak, and they probably don't, they don't stand out as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they say you could give two people the same job. One of them, you pay him like, $40,000 a year. The other guy, you pay $4 million a year.
Yeah.
It's the same job. One of them hates their job. The other loves it. Like during a losing streak, every bad thing stands out. During a winning streak, it's like, that's only $460 for a new phone.
That's a good point, man. Yeah. It just gets into you. You're just it's like, you're viewing the world from the opposite of rose-colored glasses. Yeah. It's just
glass half empty.
Glass half empty. You got brown glasses. The whole world looks like doo-doo.
Any other stories you want to share with us?
Yeah, I got actually just like a few weeks ago, my wife went to cash out chips again, and it was just funny. She my wife's just this super sweet, kind of like quirky chick, and she goes with all these chips to cash them out, and the security guard, this was just a little funny thing she told me, leans in and he goes to the other security guard, "Now that's what you call badass bitch." And then just like knowing my wife, I was like, that's hilarious. I was like, you're a badass bitch. Yeah, actually I was just in a market too. And there was a pit boss from another casino that I was at, and she was absolutely hammered. Playing with me like at the table, and just starts telling me, we know what you're doing, like next door. And she's like whatever, and I was like, what? And she just turns to me, and just like tells me that you count. I was like, oh wow, you did the conversion and everything. That's pretty good. She was like, yeah, and then just spills her whole drink all over the table. And I was like, yeah. They were like, we have to close the table. I was like, no, do not do that. Like, no. This is the last good game at this hour. And I was like, no. I convinced him not to, but it was so funny. And then she gave me some good pointers on the market, but I was just. I was like, she was like, I was on this side of the table for a little while, blah, blah. I mean, it's one of those stories where you're just like, oh yeah, they're people and they're involved in the casino world. So they were probably gamblers and even sometimes card counters, back in the day. But
what was her reasoning why they weren't backing you off at that other place?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a way I can say this without everyone would know it right when I said it, but they just aren't prepared yet.
Okay,
cool. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So was she betting properly?
No, she was just betting and I was like, why are you? She's like, I don't care anymore. I just play a little bit.
Yeah, she's there for the drinks.
Yeah, she was. I can confirm that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the first experience like that for me though.
Any last story you want to share? We got a boot camp in like half an hour, but this is fun. These stories are like.
I mean, and then I have like little random ones in here, like got asked for money while trying to poop. Like I was just in the bathroom and some dude was like, "Hey man, could I have $100?" I guess he saw me at a table, like betting big. I was like, "No." I was like, "What, dude? Wow. I'm trying to go to the bathroom." Like,
did you tell like security or anything, or you just?
Man, I ain't no snitch. This brings me to another story. I was playing at this casino the night before, and they recognized I was card counting, and the lady just was not having it. She's like, "Not here, not tonight, no way. You gonna get up out my place?" I was like, "All right, fine." So like I got up, I left, and there was this dude at the table that night who was just like losing a bunch, but he wasn't even playing basic strategy, and he had face tats.
Oh wow!
The detail comes in later, and so the next day I'm there and I'm playing, completely different look. Like there was actually a pit boss there, didn't even recognize me. The face tat dude comes in. He sits down at the table. He starts looking at me. And he's like, "Man, that's that dude who was counting cards last night."
What?
And I was like, "What?" I looked at him like, "What?" I was like, "Dude, one thing that you expect from a person with face tats is to not be a snitch. Like, you're a snitch and you have face tats. Like, I thought snitches ended up dead in ditches. Like, what?"
That's right.
Like, he had the teardrops. I'm like,
snitches
what?
Get stitches.
Yeah, snitches get stitches. And I was like, you know, in like a very Western looking outfit, and I wanted to just like lean in and whisper that to him. I thought it'd be really funny.
Oh man,
but it might have caused some violent reaction.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just left it. I just thought it was so funny. I'm like, I got snitched on by a dude with face tats.
So do you have what's your goal moving forward? You just enjoying, the AP journey or
I'm enjoying it.
Other than the
I'm enjoying it in very
short bursts,
brief spurts.
7%.
Yeah. Like what I said on the forum, it just sucks a little less than it doesn't. Than it does.
And your wife's still enjoying the lifestyle?
No, because I travel often, and honestly, the thing that's hard about doing this, especially from family, like relatives, that aren't in your immediate family, is they seem to think that I'm neglecting my family when I'm doing it for my family. It's like work, you know what I mean? And I'll go on trips that are like 5 days, like 2 times a month, maybe even a third every now and then. And, it starts to bother me because I have a baby, and like I do, and when you're just losing, you're like, what am I doing? Like, I'm losing all this money and I'm spending so much time away from my family, but I do want to say it's still less time than when I would tour playing music. But that has become a difficult part at times when you do go full time, that to get hours in, you have to be out there. You have to go, you have to do it that way. And it's tough, when people don't see it that way, but my wife does. I'm lucky she gets it and everything. She's like, "No, we're doing this for now, but this is a means to an end for me. This is cash capital for real estate." So
that answers my question. Where you're going with. And I, whatever. It's not my place to tell people what they should, how they should approach life. Mm-hmm. But I'm always a little relieved when someone does have something they're working towards, because the people over my almost 20 years of being involved in this, the people that have had some sort of, where's this going towards, seem to reach a goal better than if it's aimless.
Sure. Yeah. It's definitely, building cash to put into real estate. And that's the end goal. And this is definitely just like a means to that. I'm not looking to be an AP forever.
Yeah, so like you've had a rocky road, doing this AP journey, but you're still, very profitable. So what is it exactly that keeps you coming back to the table when you could be doing something else to gain that same capital?
$1 million, baby. Come on.
Is it just the efficiency of being able to like make the money and then not having to be, working at another job for like 50 hours a week? Like, what is it that about
it's
Blackjack?
Just honestly, it's just, especially with my bankroll, more money. I don't know what else I would do at this point for more money, Yeah. And it's you have to factor in your risk for long term. That's so important because you will be shocked by variance, and it goes both ways. That's what's great about it, and that's why the long run works out. But I mean, the downswings are crazy, and it is more about, I think it's outlasting those streaks. For me, that's what card counting is. It's outlasting these streaks until it's like, boom, it all lines up, everything works up perfectly. But yeah, that's what my chart tells me too.
Yeah. You always refer back to the chart to remind yourself.
Yeah, which is that awesome thing on BJA.
It's gonna
having that chart. I love that chart. I actually had played like 1,000 hours and didn't have any of it clocked into that. And then I did, and I was like, whoa, this is cool to see it.
Cool. Well, we should probably wrap this up, but maybe you could come back on, fly yourself out to Vegas another time and tell.
Yeah, tell us. I mean, there's that. I cherry picked very small PG selection.
Well, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing a bit of your story, and I'm excited to hear how it continues on the goal to $1 million for real estate.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thanks for putting all that info out there. It's really helped me and helped me to connect with other people. Thanks for having me. You guys are awesome. Pound it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Bam. All right. You guys can check out Blackjack Apprenticeship if you want to, learn more about all that stuff. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time. I hope you enjoyed the interview. If you have questions for Burning Down the House, you can find him on the forum, and you might even find him at a casino near you sometime soon. I'll create a thread on our forum to ask follow-up questions or leave comments for himself or myself or Joe748, and we will catch you guys later.